Welcome. What's up, guys? I'm the Excel controller. Today we are taking control of the data. Welcome back to Excel Controller. Today we're going to learn one of the most important Excel features that every finance professional should know. Excel tables. If you've been using Excel for a while, you've probably worked with ordinary ranges of data. Maybe you've highlighted a group of cells. Maybe you've sorted the data. Maybe you've copied formulas down hundreds of rows. If that's how you've been working, you're not alone. That's exactly how most people learn Excel. But professional finance teams don't spend all day working with ordinary ranges. They work with Excel tables. And once you understand why, you'll probably never go back. As a financial controller, I spend a lot of time working with large data sets. Revenue reports, payroll reports, budget reports, expense reports, customer reports, department reports, location reports. Most of these reports come directly from an ERP system or another business application. They're usually exported into Excel. And when they first arrive, they look exactly like the worksheet you're looking at now. There's nothing technically wrong with this data. Every number is there. Every column has information. But this worksheet doesn't help me analyze anything. It's simply raw information. Now, let me share a challenge that almost every finance professional experiences. Imagine it's month end. Your accounting system exports a revenue report containing 6,000 rows. Your manager walks over and asks one simple question. How much revenue did our East region generate this month? You scroll through thousands of rows trying to find East region. You finally locate the records. You manually highlight them. Then your manager asks another question. Now show me only our manufacturing customers. Then another. Now sort them from highest revenue to lowest revenue. Before long, you've spent 15 minutes answering questions that Excel could answer in seconds. The problem isn't your data. The problem is that your data isn't organized as an Excel table. Tables make your data easier to sort, easier to filter, easier to summarize, easier to expand, and much easier to maintain as your business grows. Throughout today's lesson, we're going to build several examples using realistic financial information. You'll learn exactly what tables are, why controllers use them, when to use them, and how they can make almost every reporting task easier. By the end of today's lesson, you'll understand why tables are one of the first things I create whenever I receive a new report. Let's get started. Before we build anything, let's understand exactly what an Excel table is. Many people think a table simply means data arranged in rows and columns. That's not what we're talking about today. An Excel table is a special object inside Excel. It looks like a normal range of cells, but it behaves very differently. When you convert a range into a table, Excel automatically gives that data several powerful features. Instead of managing individual cells, Excel begins managing the entire data set for you. That means less manual work, fewer mistakes, and faster reporting. Let's build our first example. At the moment, this is just a normal range of cells. Excel doesn't know this is one complete data set. It simply sees individual values. Now I'd like you to click anywhere inside the data. It doesn't matter which cell you choose. I'm going to click inside the revenue column. Now look toward the top of Excel. Click the Insert tab. Over on the left side of the ribbon, you'll see a button labeled Table. Click Table. Excel now asks an important question. It wants to know which range should become the table. Notice that Excel automatically highlighted the entire data set. That's because there were no blank rows and no blank columns inside our data. Excel was able to recognize the boundaries automatically. Below the highlighted range, you'll see a checkbox that says My Table has headers. Since our first row contains column names, leave that box checked. Now click OK. Watch what happens. Our worksheet immediately changes. Each heading now has a small filter button. The rows have alternating colors. The data is grouped together as one object. This isn't just formatting. Excel now understands that these rows belong together. That's the difference between a normal range and an Excel table. Now I want you to notice something else. As soon as I click inside the table, a new tab appears on the ribbon. Depending on your version of Excel, it may be called Table Design or simply Table. This tab only appears when your cursor is inside a table. That's because Excel knows you're working with a special object. Whenever you need to change the appearance or settings of your table, this is where you'll come. Notice how that tab disappears when I click outside the table. Then it comes back when I click inside. This is one of the easiest ways to tell whether you're working inside a table or simply selecting ordinary cells. Now let's talk about one of the biggest advantages of tables. Consistency. Imagine next month arrives. Your accounting system exports another 5 departments, or perhaps another 500 departments. With an ordinary range, you would probably need to copy formulas, extend formatting, adjust ranges, and make sure nothing was missed. Excel tables handle much of that work automatically. As the table grows, Excel keeps the structure together. That's one reason tables are used so often in finance and accounting. They're designed for data that changes every month. I'm going to click the first blank row immediately beneath it and type in new data. Watch what happened. I didn't need to copy formatting. I didn't need to extend borders. I didn't need to adjust colors. Excel automatically expanded the table to include the new record. This may seem like a small feature, but imagine adding hundreds of new records every month. Those small time savings become significant over the course of a year. You'll also notice that every column heading now includes a filter button. We're not going to use filtering yet. That will be the focus of another lesson. For now, I simply want you to recognize that these buttons exist because this is an Excel table. As we continue through this series, these filter buttons will become some of the most valuable tools in your reporting process. Let's quickly review what we've learned before moving into our first demonstration. An ordinary range is simply a collection of cells. An Excel table is a structured data set that Excel can manage for you. Tables automatically recognize new rows. They keep your formatting consistent. They provide built-in filtering, and they create a solid foundation for nearly every financial report you'll build in Excel. Now that you understand what tables are and why they're important, we're ready to start using them with real financial data. In the next section, we'll build our first practical example together. You'll see just how much easier tables make everyday reporting tasks. Now that we've learned what an Excel table is, let's build one using a realistic business report. Imagine this report was exported directly from your accounting system. This report lists customers, regions, months, and revenue. The information is accurate. Nothing is wrong with it. But right now, Excel simply sees individual cells. Let's change that. First, click anywhere inside the data. It doesn't matter which cell you choose. I'm going to click inside one of the revenue values. Now, go to the Insert tab. Click Table. Excel automatically highlights the entire data set. Before clicking OK, look for the checkbox labeled My Table Has Headers. Since our first row contains the column names, we'll leave that box checked. Now click OK. Our range has now become an Excel table. You can immediately recognize that because every heading now contains a filter button. The rows also have alternating colors. Again, remember that those colors are simply the default table style. The real advantage is that Excel now understands these records belong together. Now let's see how easy it is to add another customer. Scroll to the bottom of the table. Click in the first empty row directly beneath the last customer. Type the customer name, Harbor Medical Group. Press the Tab key. Notice that I press Tab instead of Enter. When you're working inside a table, pressing Tab moves you to the next column. Type East. Press Tab. Type January. Press Tab. Type 138,500. Press Enter. Watch carefully. Excel automatically expanded the table. The new customer became part of the dataset without any extra work. Nothing had to be copied. Nothing had to be resized. The table handled everything automatically. Now, let's add one more customer. Click in the first blank row. Type Liberty Manufacturing. Press Tab. Type West. Press Tab. Type January. Press Tab. Type 111,000. Press Enter. Again, Excel expands the table automatically. Imagine receiving updated sales information every week. Instead of rebuilding your worksheet every time, you simply add new records. That's exactly how many finance teams maintain recurring reports. Let's pause for a moment. If you were still using a normal range of cells, you would probably need to adjust your formatting every time you added data. You might need to extend borders, copy formulas, or make sure your report still look consistent. With an Excel table, much of that work happens automatically. Now let's look at a few common mistakes. The first mistake is leaving blank rows inside your data. I'll demonstrate. Click one of the row numbers in the middle of the table. Right-click, choose Delete. Notice that Excel removes the row while keeping the table together. Now I'll press Undo. The second mistake is typing information outside the table. If you accidentally enter customer information several rows below the table, Excel won't recognize it as part of your dataset. Always begin entering new records immediately below the last row of the table. The third mistake is converting only part of your data into a table. Whenever possible, include every column that belongs together. Customers, regions, months, revenue. All of those columns describe one dataset. They should all belong to the same table. The goal is simple. One report, one table, one consistent structure. Now let's look at a situation that many financial controllers experience every month. You've completed the monthly close. Your accounting system exports the department results. Your job is to prepare this information for analysis. At first glance, this worksheet doesn't look very different from the previous example. That's because it isn't. It's another list of business data. And just like before, the first thing we're going to do is convert it into a table. Click anywhere inside the report. Go to the Insert tab. Click Table. Verify that Excel selected the entire range. Confirm that My Table Has Headers is checked. Click OK. Our monthly report is now a structured table. You might be wondering why controllers convert almost every exported report into a table before doing anything else. The answer is consistency. Every month, this report changes. Budget values might stay the same. Actual results certainly won't. Departments may be added. Departments may be removed. If I keep this as a normal range, I have to manage those changes myself. If I use a table, Excel helps manage those changes for me. Let's imagine our company opens a new department next month. Scroll to the bottom of the table. Click in the first blank row. Type Procurement. Press Tab. Enter 95,000. Press Tab. Enter 98,000. Press Enter. Notice that the table immediately expands. No additional setup was required. Now imagine another department is eliminated. I'll click anywhere in the Facilities row. Right-click, choose Delete. Notice that the remaining departments automatically move upward. The table stays intact. I'll press Undo so we can restore the original data. Now I'd like you to notice something important. Click anywhere inside the table. Look across the column headings. Department, Budget, Actual. Those headings stay attached to the data. That may sound obvious, but when you're working with hundreds or even thousands of rows, having a clearly structured table makes your reports much easier to understand. Now imagine you're preparing next month's report. Instead of creating a brand new worksheet from scratch, you simply replace the old department data with the new department data inside the existing table. The structure remains consistent. Your workbook remains organized, and everyone reviewing your reports becomes familiar with the layout. That's one of the biggest advantages of using tables in finance. Consistency, not just within one report. Across every report you build. When executives receive reports every month, They shouldn't have to learn a new layout every time. The reports should feel familiar. That consistency allows leadership to focus on the numbers instead of figuring out where everything is located. This is one of the reasons experienced financial controllers rely on tables. They're not just organizing data, they're creating repeatable reporting processes. And repeatable processes lead to fewer mistakes, easier maintenance, and better reporting over time. Before we move on, let's quickly review what we've accomplished. We converted ordinary business data into structured Excel tables. We added new records. We removed records. We watched the tables automatically expand and adjust. And we saw why controllers almost always begin their reporting process by converting exported data into tables. In the next section, we'll build a larger business example using multiple locations and more realistic financial information. And you'll see how tables continue to simplify everyday reporting tasks as your data grows. Now we're going to build a slightly larger example. This is closer to the type of information a controller might review during an operating performance meeting. Imagine you are responsible for reviewing multiple locations across a region. Leadership wants to understand performance. Which locations are generating the most revenue? Which locations have the highest payroll costs? Which locations may need additional attention? The information exists, but before we analyze anything, we need to organize the data properly. The first step is always the same. Convert the data into an Excel table. Click anywhere inside the data. Go to the Insert tab. Click Table. Excel automatically selects the data range. Confirm that the checkbox labeled My Table Has Headers is selected. Click OK. Our regional performance report is now an Excel table. At this point, the report is ready to grow. That is important because operational reports are rarely static. Every month we may add new locations, new departments, new employees, new customers, new transactions. Tables are designed for changing information. Let's imagine our company opens a new location. I'll add the new location directly below the existing data. Click the first empty cell under location. Type Atlanta. Press tab. Type Operations. Press tab. Type 775,000. Press tab. Type 325,000. Press tab. Type 108,000. Press tab. Type 40. Press enter. Notice what happened. Excel automatically expanded the table. The new location is now included. The formatting and structure automatically carried down. This is exactly what we want when maintaining monthly financial reports. Now imagine this report contains 1,000 locations instead of 10. The value of tables becomes even more obvious. A table keeps every record connected. The headings stay attached to the data. New records become part of the same data set. And the structure stays consistent month after month. This is especially important when building recurring reports. For example, a monthly revenue report, a payroll analysis, a budget tracker, a customer profitability report, a location performance report. The data changes. The process stays the same. That is how finance teams create repeatable reporting. Now let's look at one additional table feature. When I click inside the Table Design tab appears. At the top of the screen, you'll see the table name field. Right now, Excel has automatically assigned a name, something like Table 1. For simple examples, that works, but in a professional finance workbook, meaningful names are better. Click inside the table name box. Change the name to TBL Regional Performance. Press Enter. This may seem like a small detail, but naming tables becomes very helpful as your workbook grows. If you have multiple tables in one workbook, meaningful names make it easier to identify what information each table contains. For example, TBL Revenue, TBL Payroll, TBL Budget, TBL Actuals. Clear naming creates better organization. Let's create one final example. This time, we're looking at customer revenue tracking. This type of report is common in forecasting and revenue analysis. Again, the first step is the same. Click inside the data. Insert tab. Click Table. Confirm that My Table Has Headers is selected. Click OK. Now our customer revenue report is structured. The benefit is that this report can continue growing. Every month, new customers can be added. New revenue records can be included. The table keeps everything organized. This is the foundation for many more advanced Excel tools we will cover later in this series. Tables are often the first step before creating pivot tables, dashboards, forecast models, management reports, and operational analytics. A strong foundation makes those future steps easier. Now let's review some common mistakes when working with Excel tables. The first mistake is including blank rows inside your data. Tables work best when your data is continuous. Every row should represent one record. Every column should represent one type of information. Avoid inserting empty rows between records. The second mistake is using multiple header rows. For example, having a report title in row 1, a blank row in row 2, and column headings in row 3. That structure may look nice visually, but can create problems when Excel tries to identify the table. Keep your actual data structure simple. One header row, one row per record. The third mistake is mixing different types of information in the same column. For example, having some values in the revenue column and then entering comments or notes underneath. A table should contain consistent information. Revenue should only contain revenue. Dates should only contain dates. Customers should only contain customers. The fourth mistake is manually formatting individual rows. When possible, let the table manage the structure. The goal is to create a repeatable process, not a worksheet that requires constant manual adjustments. Before using a table in a financial process, always perform a quick quality check. Ask yourself, does every column have a clear heading? Does every row represent one record? Are there any blank rows? Are numbers stored as numbers? Are dates stored as dates? Can someone else understand this dataset without explanation? If the answer is yes, your table is ready for analysis. Now it's time to practice. I've created a workbook for this lesson that contains 3 worksheets. The first worksheet is a budget versus actual report. The second worksheet is a regional performance report. The third worksheet is a revenue tracking report. Each worksheet contains realistic financial information. However, none of them have been converted into Excel tables. Your challenge is to transform each worksheet. For each worksheet, complete the following steps. First, click anywhere inside the data. Next, convert the range into an Excel table. Confirm that your first row contains headers. Rename each table using a meaningful name. For example, TBL Budget Actual, TBL Regional Performance, TBL Revenue Tracking. Next, add one additional record to each table. For the budget versus actual report, add a new department. For the regional performance report, add a new location. For the revenue tracking report, add a new customer. Observe how Excel automatically expands the table. After completing the exercise, ask yourself this question. Could I use this same process every month when preparing my financial reports? If the answer is yes, then you're beginning to build repeatable finance processes. Today we covered one of the most important building blocks in Excel, tables. You learned that tables are more than a visual formatting option. They create structure, they organize information, and they make recurring financial reporting easier to maintain. As a controller, this matters because most financial reporting is repetitive. Every month we prepare budget reports, forecast updates, revenue analysis, payroll reviews, reconciliations, operational reporting. The data changes, but the process should remain consistent. Tables help create that consistency. They reduce manual work, they reduce opportunities for mistakes, and they create a strong foundation for more advanced Excel analysis. In the next episode, we will build on this foundation by learning how to organize, sort, and filter financial data to quickly answer business questions. We'll take the tables we created today and start turning them into practical analysis tools. Download the practice workbook, complete the exercises, and continue building your Excel skills. Thanks for watching Excel Controller. I'll see you in the next lesson.